Here, the centuries of loneliness were to end.
Your collection of Leonardo da Vinci masterpieces, Mr. Flint. They appear to have been recently painted on contemporary canvas with contemporary materials.
Then, age, death, the taste of dust. Do you understand?
You wanted a perfect, ultimate woman. As brilliant, as immortal as yourself. Your mate for all time.
Merkaba master, I charted demons to other worlds, drop devils to plaster, rush them to hell, breathing asthma, place Satan on gurneys next to Hermes, send them off to their journey to Cleopatra. They read those chapters, egos captured, the Leo laughter, neoplasma, run through my veins in this matrix, and my basement became a plaza, and now I'm in the Sky Lounge with negative spirit hackers, build on math and we read the chapters, observe through our windows at the quiet disasters, riots at NASA, marches, gender pride, freedom rights for the masses, till we do away with first and second citizen classes. Religion is backwards, trying to comprehend to the pastor. This gym is like Jasper. Either we all live and strive for the youth to survive, or it all ends with the rapture. Forget waiting on the man, I'm making a plan. And for the ages of false statements, I'm taking a stand. Start an investigation on Satan with a cross in my hand. Make a plea guilty, now face the jury. We're in the courts of I am. If I could just vanish from off the planet, like magic, become caught from granite. Days, mathematics is understanding.
Hey, hey, did you hear? This is the perfect place to disappear. Oh, hey, did you hear? This is the perfect place to disappear.
A billion stories in the naked city. Ghost told me that his best friend needs a kidney. We froze, reminisce of Tiffany in the cold. Open whiskey from the 20s in the memory. Sympathy made the angels play a symphony. Said he could've had a scholarship. Toured different colleges. Now he's out of it, fading away slowly on dialysis. His name remained anonymous, but here's my acknowledgements. Street legends and hood guards. Kingdom fall into a mirage. Ghetto depression sets in. Then we place weed and cigars. A child has difficulties concentrating. From where he lives, he sees his promises fading. He sees his pop's gone, his mom's is aging. She trying to stay strong for a church congregation. And meanwhile, a kid named Rico was the coke king. A lot of siblings are the dope fiends, hope you scream. A lot of children with broken dreams, homes were clean. The most extreme, you got rich and what you sold to queens. Look what you did to Josephine. And Ebony is unheavenly. The devil's ready with open wings. As Lucifer uses love and his youthful mug. Then his blood on the cobra's fangs.
Hey, hey, did you hear? This is the perfect place to disappear. Did you hear? This is the perfect place to disappear.
Through the mid.
All right, peace and blessings, family. Welcome to Stuff Meets Up podcast episode 8. Telling you, time is flying up in here. All right, I'm here with the greatest mind of our time. Okay, she might beg to differ, but I don't care. I'm gonna pick her up anyway. You understand what I'm saying? One who gives us guidance, one who gives us healing, and stern correction from a loving and open place. It becomes my honor and privilege at this time to introduce and present to others the one, the only, Miss Chanel Johnson in the building. Peace and blessing to you. How you feeling today?
Amazing today.
Hey.
I
Almost
say
feel
you
like
amped
it's
up
Friday.
today.
Okay, almost feel like it's Friday on a Tuesday. Going up on a Tuesday. All right. So yes. So do you want to tell us why we're here today before I start playing videos?
We are actually here today to dig a little bit further into our interaction as Black men and Black women and try to correct some of the unhealthy manners that we use with that interaction and communication and interaction. So we've been lucky enough to be blessed with some interactions from therapists and what they've experienced in their spaces and some questions that they have and try to navigate how we can sell this journey with a course that's actually more mapped and that makes more sense instead of just constantly going into chaotic waters.
Yes. So I got a couple of clips here and I got some questions also. So you want to start with the clips real quick?
Nope. Before we do that, let me just make my disclaimer. I am not
Okay.
a therapist, psychiatrist, psychologist, social worker. I am none of that. I'm coming here speaking from the perspective of a peer support, family support provider, and as a peer and in support of actually making this journey a lot easier for you and a little softer to navigate. So I'm definitely not here coming from a clinical aspect. I'm here coming from an life experience aspect, a credentialed aspect, but not with no restrictions on how I can comment on or how I can comment on how to navigate that journey. I don't have any of those things binding me.
Yes. All right. So clips or questions? What's first?
Let's go to do the clips coincide with the questions?
Kind of, sort of. Kind of,
Let's go with
sort
the
of.
clips first.
All right. So I'll play the short clip and just, get your thoughts on what it says.
I hate that we waited so long. I mean, and granted, it wasn't so long, but 4 or 5 years into our marriage to get people who we trusted to like really pour into us. I wish we would have gotten that sooner. And when we got it, felt comfortable and free enough to really show them who we were, all of our stuff. I really wish we would have done that at the beginning because it would have really saved us 3 years in between there of pretending.
Well, we did we thought we were doing that.
Oh, yeah.
With the whole acute marriage counseling thing that a lot of people do.
Right before marriage. Yeah, we did marriage
Thing,
counseling.
but, people that we knew, it was just, and they're awesome, by the way. But
yeah,
it's one of those things that, if you're doing any kind of counseling, you need to be, that thing needs to be rigorous. If you're not learning
you need to be
something,
sweating.
if you know what I'm saying, like y'all really need to dig into things.
Like go into like the stuff, like how do you react when pressure is on? Like for real, not like what's your favorite color? What's your love language? What's your, like really, how do you express yourself when the pressure is on? And we didn't really get into that until like we absolutely had to.
Thoughts, ma'am?
Sounds to me like they're saying, how do we get to the point to where we are honest in a place of acceptance and accountability and partnership and teamwork, not as husband and wife, but I'm not diminishing those titles, but when you really get down to the core values and the foundations of it, we are partners in this decision that we've made to move forward. What are our goals? Do we agree on how to get there? What are our ideologies? Which way are we going to go? Or are we going to be free to stay in our own lane and still respect each other in our differences. There's so many nuances, and the marriage counseling beforehand, again, like they said, we thought we were doing that. And in my opinion, it's just my opinion, if I were in a situation where I felt like I wanted premarital counseling, I wouldn't go to anybody that I knew, because it's going to be hard for them to be unbiased and neutral in that situation. I would prefer to go to a total stranger that has nothing invested inside what we're getting ready to do to help us really navigate. And I'm going to take it better from someone that doesn't know, because you're here to do a job, and your job is to help us unpack this and then repack it to where it's beneficial for us. So for me, premarital counseling is an extension of what you already got going on in your relationship. If that person's not evaluating our relationship first, we can't even talk about marriage if there's murky waters where we are right now. Because what are we committing to? We're actually going to go into a business contract that will affect the rest of our lives, everything that we've worked for, and things in the future that we're going to work towards. So if the relationship is not there, why are we talking marriage when we can't spend 5 hours together without arguing? I don't like how you lead. I don't want to listen. I don't even respect your leadership. So, but you may benefit me in some ways that I might think long term might be okay. So I'm going to get into this, but I don't even really like you like that. You know, the getting married for a necessity for security is dangerous, because you'll take things that you probably wouldn't take without that. And then if that goes away, now you're just going to give it up because he can't do that anymore. His value's gone. And then with her, it's the same thing. If you know, I see these things in her and I kind of need that right now. So I'm going to lock in on this because I need this to get to there. And when you do things like that, you're not together for the partnership. When two people come together for a business, they got a plan first. They had the idea, they sat down, they talked about it, they mapped these things out. They had lots of discussions, lots of conversations about the goal. And during that, they get to know each other. They get to know what type of personalities are, who's going to do what. Roles are actually concrete. Your job description, what your responsibilities are in that role. We have to think about marriage as the same thing, because you are binding yourself into a contract financially, responsibility-wise, your credit, all these things come into play. If we go into marriages thinking about love, I don't know how far that's going to carry you. It's not about emotions. It's not about feelings, because you're not always going to feel that way. So when you go into this with this person, you love the hell out this person right now, enough to where you say you want to spend the rest of your life with them. Stop for a moment and think about, what about when I don't like that person? What is there enough that I have here to say, if this house starts burning, am I going to put the fire out, or I'm just going to let it burn because I want the insurance money? You know, when this person gets sick, is this a person I'm willing to turn into a caregiver for? If they make a mistake, is this a person I'm willing to stay with through that mistake? And what are those mistakes? All these things need to be said. You know, if you cheat on me, if I cheat on you, you gonna leave? Nah, we might be at work today. All right, what if I have a baby? You know, like real things, you know, like these are things that happen. How much are you willing to stay for? Because it's easy to stay for what you want because you like it. But what about the things that you might not like? What if you throw your socks in the corner every time you take them off? And now we arguing because you don't want to pick them up. What if you don't like the way I cook? What if I don't like that you can't fix things? You don't fix nothing. We always got to pay somebody to fix them because you ain't handy. If these things are whatever is important to you that this person does, are you still willing to stay, and can you still love them through a time when they can when they can't do it, or if they can no longer do it? Is the value in that person enough to where you're able to still move forward? Like, we could figure that out. If you are with somebody where you can just, you know what, that's my dude. We just gonna figure it out. That's something that you should look forward to. But if you gotta hide things, if you going shopping and you hiding bags behind the couch, or you got a separate bank account because you don't want her to know that you be on Pornhub, any of those types of things. You got a bad spending habit. He got other things going on, but why can't she shop and why can't he watch Pornhub? If that can't be a conversation and you have to hide things and all these things are going on, there's not enough trust in that relationship to move any further because you're hiding it because there's a consequence of someone finding out and you don't want them to know, but you can't be honest. Why are you in that type of space where you can't just be free and be you, or at least have a conversation about it and agree to disagree, but accept that this is just what I'm going to do?
The bars and the bombs are starting early. Okay. Yeah.
So I applaud that couple for being able to reflect together. But if you listen to them, they are synchronized. Everything they say is we. They're not using you and I statements. It's we should have done that earlier. But no, we did this and we did. And it's a lot of they wanted a solution. They weren't looking to find a space where they can blame each other and deflect. So they're actually in beautiful spaces within themselves, and they came together and created a tight unit.
An evaluation, and it didn't happen overnight.
No.
This is 13 years, and they're looking back, right? So the premarital aspect, they stressed the importance of what that was. And then this first 3 years of this wonder year, like any other place, that would be the honeymoon time, right? So they're reflecting on a tough period of time and then how this intervention of finally going to therapy outside of what they thought was therapy to something intense, and they use some words to describe it, right? It's like, oh, it has to be rigorous, right? So I'm curious to hear your thoughts about the terms that they use: rigorous, learning something, digging in there, blah blah blah. From that aspect, in regards to, is that a one size fit all dynamic, or is that a dynamic that was there for them? Because I didn't hear anything about a cultural aspect either. So I don't know what that dynamic really was, who they went to actually see. But I can see the results, like you're saying, and with them being lockstep and with their nonverbals not betraying what they were saying. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like she's in her zone, he's in the same zone with her, blah, blah, blah. And when it appeared she went super critical, he was there in the space of giving grace, like a reminder, like, okay, back and forth with each other and not just echo chambers. So, what do you think in regards to the rigorous verse, kind of thing that they were talking about?
I feel like if you watch their body language,
Hmm.
they felt comfortable and safe with each other. She was
Right.
leaning into him. There's contact. They were almost finishing each other's sentences. They found
Hmm.
their rhythm. And
Hmm.
I'm more than sure it's because they're fluid. And it is rigorous. And they were willing to go through that together because everything with them was we. It
Right.
definitely was, a unit. They had teamwork. They were partners in this process. But again, they were both seeking the same thing. They wanted a positive result to stay together, not looking for a
Hmm.
reason to actually part. So the rigorous part is, again, they found that we're gonna go through this together. Are we gonna figure this out? Because we're not. You never heard any type of indication of separation. It was always
Right.
we wanted to get to where we are right now. We knew we could get there. We just had to figure out the route, but we always were driving.
Right. Yeah, I think that was dynamic. And they touched on a couple of things. What's your favorite color and love language, right? The love language thing had become a thing with, Gary Chapman over the last decade or so, maybe might even be longer. I'm old in that regard. So it's like, all right, people started dealing with that kind of thing. So, some of these novelties, they might have a resonance, but if you don't even understand what those things are, like what's your thing versus what's their thing, and then all these things that you can accommodate with one another, it's like, all right, well, my love language is, have you sat with yourself to know what that is? Or are you basing it off of external situations versus something that's internal? So I'm gonna yield on that. So just to kind of hear your thoughts in that regard, uh, with these things that people are dead set with versus the things they not so dead set with. So it's like, well, I'm a life path number 5 and he's a 3. So, we start getting into that realm of rigidity, you see what I'm saying, versus what's actually happening. So
I will say I can only speak for women as a woman. And
mhm,
I will say that a lot of times as women, we love the idea of love language. It sounds amazing. And if only somebody knew it, but
mm,
we can't translate what we don't even understand. And as women, we really have an expectation for men to help us find that and for men to figure that out. And again, we don't know how to express that. So it's a situation of he just doesn't hear me. He doesn't understand me. He doesn't get me. And sometimes because we don't see our worth and we don't know our worth and we don't know that we deserve certain things or should have things. And we expect for him to just know and put his cape on and come and fix it. And he doesn't know how to do
mhm,
that. He can't, we have to be able to say, this is what I want. This is what I need. And blatantly say, I want you to do this.
right.
I don't like when you do that. This is how that makes me feel. Now, if you're saying that and it's being repeated and it keeps becoming an issue, then he's just not hearing you. But if you're not stating that and you're thinking, well, he should know. He should know that I'm not feeling good. Well, how if you didn't tell him? Because
Yeah.
when he asked you, you said, when he asked you if you was good, if you're okay, you said I'm fine.
Yeah.
Well, when you say that, then he's not going to keep prying because if you're fine and you said you're fine, there's some people are going to be matter of fact like that. So, but you want him to dig, but it's like, why do that? Just say what you want, say
Right.
what you need, and say what you deserve. And again, if it gets to the repetition too much, and you're not, because the best apology is change behavior. If you're not getting that, that's something to evaluate totally separate. But we have to learn as women to actually utilize our voices to express what we want and what we need and in whatever moments. And yes, that can change. But if somebody's asking you if you're good and you're not, say that. No,
Right.
my head, right? I'm all in my head. My kids are stressing me. I feel like I got too much because then he can evaluate what's going on and see where he can actually help. And then we sometimes get to the point where we don't want your help. We want your help, but we don't want to have to ask for it. We want you to just do it. And again, if you're with somebody, you're not going to know. Men are, I'm sorry, and I don't want to speak for a man, but men don't usually just get it. If you ask them, they'll do it. But if you expect them to figure it out, their heads are somewhere totally different than ours. They're not the figure it outers. That's us. We figure it out.
Yeah.
Tell them the
Yeah.
plan and the need, and they'll usually
Right.
go do that. But if you need a woman to do what you want a man to do, and that don't work. So we got to do that for ourselves and just give them the instructions and let them execute. And we got to learn that sometimes might be the balance in our relationship is for us to just give them the instructions because they don't got time to sit there and think through all that. They got other responsibilities and things that goes on with manhood that it's just not natural for them to do. If you're lucky enough to find someone that is able to do that, that's amazing. But don't put that on every man because you may have an amazing man or a man that has some amazing qualities that you're missing out on because you want him to implement them and he's more of the execution.
Right. And if you give him something, well, this is a double pronged sort of approach. If you bring him up something that's going on with you, say, baby, I don't want you to do nothing. I just want you to listen. That's doing something, right? So he knows how to frame his being, right? If I'm presented with a problem, I'm listening to you and I'm calculating the level of solution, whatever it is. You understand what I'm saying? Because I don't want you carrying around a burden, bearing a burden unnecessarily, right? So if you say, I just want you to listen, I'll listen. I'll go get something to write some things down, whatever. You understand what I'm saying? Whatever you need in that moment, I could be that. But if you want me to fix something, let me know you want me to intervene. Let me know you want me to make some action happen. Because I'm already thinking of 7 possible ways to make something happen because you came to me with a problem. You understand? So in me honoring that, how do you want me to honor you in this situation? Versus I well, I just wanted you to listen. Well, you should know me by now. You know how I am. I know how you are. I do. I don't know how you are in this moment, right? I don't want to prejudge the situation and then further cause harm or energy wasted based off of what? You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, if you know, all right, this is what this is. Boom. I just want you to do blah blah blah. I just want you to listen. I don't want you to do nothing. Blah blah blah. All right, now I'm pulling you close. I can listen to you affectionately and close. Like, all right, whatever this is. But if you want me to go handle something, I'm about to go handle it. You understand what I'm saying? I'm about to go ahead and go on. Gone. Got my marching orders, whatever the case may be. So both of these they work both ways. You see what I'm saying? So to the black men that's out there, it works the other way as well. She knows when you're ailing. You understand? Like she knows when you're ailing, but when you alienate her in the ailing process, you create another enemy. You can another form of opposition. And then when you start imploding, it's only going to be a matter of time before you start exploding. You know, that's dangerous, treacherous waters. So in that moment, understand who this is in front of you and what that means. You know, uh, I messed up a lot of situations in life, not being able to differentiate one between the other because not having safe spaces in regards to trust in that regard will erode your mind just like mistrust will erode your mind. So from that thinking space and then from that limited little space we got as men where we be feeling, you understand what I'm saying? Where it's like, all right, oh, it's me against the world type of situation. And that is not a righteous place for a man to be. You see what I'm saying? In this society where the external world is us against the world type of situation too.
I would also say to women when it comes to men, ask the questions because a lot of times we want to solve it right now. He might tell you, I'm okay. I don't want to talk about it right now. I need to go for a walk. And our insecurities will kick in and want to
Well,
keep him there to solve it because instantly we're thinking if he goes somewhere else, he's going to go. When women see men leave to go somewhere, we don't trust that you're just going to catch your breath. We don't trust that you're going to decompress. We think you're going to someone else. You're going to go call and you're going to go confide and you're going to go pull on someone else. And I'm right here. So I need you to stay right here. And no, we need to talk about this right now. We have to stop doing that. Men have a right to have the same grace that we want them to give. And if we want them to understand our love language, you have to ask some questions about theirs, but you got to be okay with the answer. And if there's that much distrust, either check yourself for your past experiences and your insecurities or evaluate who you're with. Because if you have concrete things going on, then maybe you guys are not equally matched because the resolution can't be in someone else if the problem is here with us. And, we have to be mindful also of who we talk to. Do not tell your friends. Here's what happens when you talk to your friends and family about your relationship. We tend to only speak to them in crisis.
mm-hmm.
We never go back and say, you know what, we talked about it. We're good, this, that, and the other. And then say how you got there. I talked to him. No, we're just like, oh, we're good. They start building up a tally sheet.
Right.
On this Negro is dogging my niece, sister, daughter, friend. And
Yeah.
he's always doing this and he's always doing that. And we tell them so much of the negative that we lose out on the positive. Then when we finally do come with the positive, yeah, but he did all those other things. I got this big old list of things that he does. And we create this character for this person that we're in love with, but we demonize him to the opposite person, to whoever that we're talking to. And now the interaction and the advice that comes in is horrible because it's based upon all his negative aspects and none of the positive. So, have those conversations with him about how he handles stress, how he handles disagreements, how he wants to be, interacted with during those times. And listen, it's not about, we tend to want to make it look like how we want it to look. And we think that we're going to solve the problem for him. I said identify tasks for him to do, not identify how he should feel. That's kind of where we kind of get it a little bit off as women. And it's more of handling that with that person. Handle it. And men too. Stop talking to your mamas about us. That's why she don't like us now. Because you go in and you tell her all the bad things, and when you come back and finally say something good, she don't want to hear that because that heifer done did all the stuff to her son. Stop telling your sister. She want to fight me now because of what you said. Like, we got to be mindful of what we share with other people. We need to choose wise counsel, not cheerleaders. We need to choose somebody to be like, "No, you're wrong for that." And I'm on your side, but yeah, you're wrong for that. You shouldn't have did that. You shouldn't have said that. So sometimes that external source is better that's not vested in your relationship because they don't have a nickel in your dime. So they don't have a reason to go in there and try to shift anything or narrate anything because they're just there to do a job, which is to help you actually find the problems, the issue and the problem and do something about it. So again, with that love language, that's a dangerous thing because that can be nuanced into manipulation. It can be nuanced into BS. But if you have those conversations, talk to each other. That's the thing. We don't talk to each other. Talk to each other. Ask the questions, get the answers, and move accordingly.
Yes, ma'am. So we got a clip over here. It's a little longer than the other clip that I played initially, but I think there were some good points that were there, and also sometimes we need a demonstration of what right might look like. So we'll play the clip. You just let me know if you wanted me to stop it somewhere, whatever the case may be, to expound or elaborate.
Counseling.
And that was in the church as well, or outside?
Through the church, and also outside.
Oh, you had two different.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I believe in continuing therapy, just because, when it comes to communication in marriage, it's a multi-layered thing. It's not just you expressing what's on your mind and your wife is going to receive it. No, it's multi-layered. So the value to me when I would go is to have a person that can be objective and hear what I'm saying without any emotions attached to it, and just articulate it so that my wife could receive it. Because sometimes ego would change my delivery. Like, you should be understanding what I'm saying. And now I'm having a condescending tone and my wife is completely shut down. So if anything, just to open up the lines of communication, that was the value that, the mediator, I would say, was able to provide.
Does it work? I mean,
if I heard him right, he's continuing
to go. I think it's not you go once and then your issues are solved. It's a continuing thing. Like marriage, just like anything else, like acting or whatever, you're pursuing.
Keep practicing.
You're always in classes. You're always taking new headshots because you're always changing and developing, and you always have to adapt. So I'm not the same man I was when we got married 3.5 years ago. We got a 1.5-year-old now. She's due in 2 weeks with another one. So she's a completely different person, spiritually, physically. And so I have to adapt to now dealing with hormones when she's pregnant. So now when I say something and she responds, and now we're arguing over an ankle sock, I'm like, whoa, what happened? But I'm not arguing with her. It's the hormones that's now impacting how we communicate. So I got to go back like, hey, have somebody else help us hash this out, help my wife understand, like, no, your husband's not attacking you. He just doesn't adapt as quickly as your hormones are changing. Right?
Yeah.
So,
but if it is the hormones, right? No.
Somehow I wanted to pause for a moment. Thoughts?
I love how he was able to separate. I'm not dealing with her, I'm dealing with her hormones, which means that he's done some research on pregnancy and he understands the nuances of mood swings that can happen during pregnancy. And instead of combating that, he found a way to understand that and realize I may have to go about things differently, but also not taking personal what's happening in that moment, because any health condition can cause psychological changes within a person. But again, we have someone. Here's the interesting part. This is going to be difficult for anyone that's in a stage where they're not there yet. That's love. That's understanding. That's grace. And in the early stages, you're still trying to get to know each other. It's like, well, how do I know if this is a person I can do that with? You know, because it has to come in time and things have to happen. And that's what happens a lot with when people say choose better. I in order for me to choose, I'm with someone, but I have to get to know them. And you don't find out things until you're with them. You know, so that choose better thing is kind of iffy, because it's like I don't know until I know. I got to experience this person before I can know. But he is, you know, he has children with this woman, and he understands that it's a big thing for him to understand I'm not who I was when I married this person. So I can't expect this person to be who she was when I married her. But we are navigating these evolutions together. We are evolving in an infinity symbol instead of in two different worlds, because we created this world together, especially when we added in that third element, which is that child, and now the second child. And he's understanding that her body's changing, her spirit is changing, her emotions are changing, because we created life. And she now has the responsibility of that life and carrying one at the same time, simultaneously, while being with me. This is what unity in a relationship looks like. This is what community in a relationship looks like, and communication, which brings that all together. So you have a fella that is coming from a place of understanding that a lot of people don't even desire to be at. He would be considered a simp. He would be considered, you know, soft or whatever, because of his level of commitment to finding this space with the person that he's with. He loves his woman. He loves womanhood. He respects it. And if you're not in that space, you're not even going to understand what he's talking about or what he's doing or why these things are important to him. But he now has two lives that he's brought in, that he's worried about representation. He's worried about being a demonstration of manhood and demonstration of womanhood that's going to create and cultivate the lives that he's created. So both these examples are beautiful examples at an advanced stage, but there's so many spaces that have to be encountered together before you can get here. But to me, in both couples, again, we're starting at this is what we're doing, and we're going towards something. This is not you look good, I hollered at you, we had sex. The sex was great, and now we together. And then we figure out I don't even really like you, but I took a lot of things because that one thing was good, or whatever reason that you're here, but it was never with a goal. And we got to start making sure that we start going towards goals, because this is where this type of partnership comes into play.
Right. So I don't know where my man is going with the I'll be sure space. So hopefully I'm just looking, you know, the nonverbal is like, he looked like he wanted to fight. Let me see what's going on here. So.
Oh, that's something psychological, or that's something that's innate. So even if you have therapy, right, and the hormones is attacking her, what can therapy do?
My description of therapy is this: it's a way to actually properly communicate without talking directly to your partner with the heightened sense of anger, with the misinterpretation of what voice you're trying to share.
Got you.
You know, it's someone that's objective. They don't know you. It's like this right here.
this is not considered a therapy session, but this is what therapy is. This is all of us talking about our experiences, and everyone's giving a little bit of insight. It's helping us. It's allowing us to take stress off of our shoulders.
Sure.
So when I was in my relationship, we had hit like a real rocky patch, and going to therapy every week, when we would talk about our problems and issues, it would just add another layer of that, because now I feel like I'm being attacked. So then I'm in defense mode. So now I'm attacking her.
Yep.
So now we're just having this bubble's just getting bigger and bigger. But now we talk to someone with an objective perspective that doesn't have any bias. It's not her friends, it's not my friends.
Yep.
This is an individual who's literally just talking to what they see that's in front of them, what you're delivering. Meaning you have to deliver the honest truth. You know, to your friends, you may not do that all the time. But to a complete stranger, if you go into it with an open mind, that person cannot harm you. He has nothing on you, or she has nothing on you. This is a free place to speak openly and free. And once that hour and a half is over, you wipe your hands and you can go to another therapist. You never have to see this person again. But if I had that hour and a half with you, I'm going to see you Saturday at the table. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it allows that freedom, and it allows that outlet to properly communicate with your partner from a different perspective, from an outside perspective that really cannot harm or deviate to lean toward one side versus the other.
I ain't gonna wait for you to say pause. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just pause right there because I don't want to get too far in the weeds. So, thoughts on his perspective, not in contrast or versus his initial perspective. His thoughts in regards to describing therapy in this setting amongst these men.
Again, I will say that I'm not a therapist. So I'm not coming from a clinical aspect. I'm coming from a support and peer aspect of being in therapy myself. And the way that he unpacks what therapy is what's going to make him successful in therapy. This is the whole reason why we're doing this entire podcast, is to let you fully understand what therapy is, what it does, and why it is helpful. But to also, you have to come there wanting that. He took the time to understand how it's working for him, why it's working for him, opposed to what he was already doing. And we tend to come into this with the mind frame of, I don't need that. Man, the therapist's gonna need therapy after dealing with me. It's gonna be like me giving him therapy because I got this, because I got me. I don't need therapy. Therapy is for weak people. Therapy is people that just can't get themselves together. Crazy people. Like, why would you need to go talk to somebody else about something that you're going through? You can just deal with it yourself. You're gonna fail. Therapy is not gonna work for you. Don't even waste your money, because with that mindset, to where you're not even open to see and give it a chance, then you're gonna battle against it. And you're going to resist all the tools that are there. Understanding that person, he said the exact same thing I did. That person does not have a vested interest in you. They are there to identify a situation and give you tools to try to navigate it according to what you want from that. Because the tools that you're given, you're going to use them how you want. They're not there to solve your problem. They're there to give you healthier ways to handle things, because what you're doing is not working. And once we understand that, that's where the problem comes in. You're doing something, and just because you're still in it, you think that you've got this, but you don't, because it's not working for you. And it takes a lot to be able to say, yeah, I might want to change the way I'm doing this, or there might be a better way for me to do this. So for him, again, we're at an advanced stage of understanding in this process where I get it. But again, he wants the resolution. There are going to be people in relationships where both parties don't want a resolution, because it's going to change aspects of themselves that they're not ready to give up, because they found comfort in the dysfunction and unhealthy interactions and habits. Or it's a power for them, that dysfunction. So you're going to take away a part of me where I'm going to lose a part of myself. And what you're going to look at as a loss is actually a positive and a gain. But because you don't want to make that shift, you're going to continue to spin on that merry-go-round until you're ready to let go and realize the power was in letting go, not in holding on to that.
Right. Okay. So I did pick a decent clip. All right, make sure. You
No, you
understand what
did.
I'm saying? I've been here like, all right, you know, let me continue here and see where they're going. Because we ain't hear him speak yet either. So
I'm gonna tell you what would piss you off about therapy, though.
Right.
There'll be something that you've communicated to your wife 1,000 times.
Yeah,
And then it finally
And
looks
then
like,
it comes from this person that she's like, oh, okay, I get that.
Yeah.
I'm like,
bruh. I've been trying to say the same thing.
I don't want to interrupt, but I want to. That right there that's a space where it's like, okay, if I could say something on that end, right? I don't internalize that. I don't internalize that for a couple of different reasons, right? One, I was in the military. And your communication style in a total control environment, or environment where you don't feel safe, or environment where you're flustered and you're all over the place, you're not receptive to anything. If I hadn't demonstrated trust and capability in the situation, your default is what he said earlier, shut down, right? So he's saying this thing, he's not weaponizing it. He's saying it from a perspective to warn you, though, like, okay, this is an initial reaction, and if you stay in it, now the situation that you're dealing with is going to be ineffective, right? So you're going to deem it ineffective. It's like, oh, you need somebody else to tell you what I've been telling you and blah, blah, blah. And it works on both sides, right? So he's demonstrating it from this perspective, but don't allow that to block you from whatever the benefits are. So there are benefits in there. So we're both outside of that realm and span of what we control within our mind. So now we're more receptive, right? So that's one space. The other space, from the entrepreneurial perspective that deals with psychology and sociology, is that people have to hear something over and over again before it resonates. They said the exposure process is 7 to 10 times because people are in their own world. They're not in your world. They're in their own world. You understand what I'm saying? So if you're in this spot of saying something 7 to 10 times over and over, like a man don't like to repeat himself. You understand what I'm saying? So now you think of the relationship dynamic. You're in there saying something over and over, and then you go into this place, and now you got it. It's based off that exposure process. I can see what he's been saying this entire time versus, oh, some magic wand. There's no magic wand over there. Now I'm devoid of all of the other detractors and stressors, so I'm clear in this moment, right? So if you look at that from the psychological, sociological perspective, the entrepreneurial perspective, you got an understanding. And then here goes the opposite, the inverse. You tell the children to go sit down somewhere. You be like, sit down, 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 sit down. And I say, sit your ass down. Everybody sits down. They're like, well, how come he only has to say it once? You understand what I'm saying? So you're looking at there's not a power struggle, right? And a lot of these people, they have these comedic things because everything's content now. Mom asks you something versus dad asks you something. It's like, all right, Mom, I'll clean up later and blah, blah, blah. And dad looks around the corner and then all of a sudden everybody's cleaning up type of situation. There's a dynamic where that could be beneficial, but there's also a dynamic where that could be detrimental. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, well, you might as well just because ain't no da-da-da-da-da. So it's the same kind of dynamic. One becomes closer in regards to this. You're thinking, okay, these children that you birthed don't respect your authority kind of situation versus, okay, he could just come in and he doesn't have a magic wand either. There's a tonality that exists within him. That's the only thing that he got. You understand what I'm saying? As far as these children have been inside of your womb, they've been thoughts in your mind, blah, 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 all of these things. So they expect the nurture, they expect the grace, they expect this and this. So if you're saying something over and over, they're like, all right, well, I got another chance. I got 2 chances left, blah, 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 blah. Because they'll play their game, right? So they know daddy's like, no. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, we don't want no parts of that. So they're using their brain computer and their heart computer and spirit computer in regards to that dynamic. So now, if we apply those things in regards to what this is in regards to one another, interpersonally and personally, we might see something. So I just wanted to, kind of chime in that point right there to where it's like, I do you see her invalidation and what you're saying is a point of contention for you initially, or is it you just like, yo, so now he gets activated, he's ready, like, so it's like, all right, there's another dynamic that's there. So I'm a yield. So in case you wanted to add something before this.
Well, interesting about what he's saying. We're going to talk about checkout points in relationships. And first, we're going to talk about communication and dialogue. It's you speak, I listen. I speak, you listen. And then there's what I said versus what you heard. And that's going to be attributed to context. So if you and I are beefing about something, and I've told you something 15 times, I'm irritated at this point. Like, why are you just not hearing me? It may be the way I'm saying it. It may be, and I may not even be cognizant of how I'm saying it in an unhealthy manner because I've said it so many times. Now it's like, we'll pick that shit up. And like, how many times am I going to be telling you the same thing? You're an adult. You're not one of the kids. I don't even have to tell the kids that. And you're speaking from passion and emotion.
Yeah.
But no matter what, that person's not receiving that. And it may be, I might have started like that because I just felt like it was something that you should just get. Or, sometimes our energy is in relationship with our words and with our delivery. Delivery is a big deal. And the same thing with the man. Like, if you're telling your woman something over and over again, on both sides, because this is not a gender thing. It's what do they got going on? That just might be more important than that. You might not be getting the same amount of hours on your job. So you're worried about how you're going to make the bills and you're thinking about what's going to have to cut short because you might not even want to have to cut it short for me. You don't want me to even worry about that. So your sock in the corner that you took off because you're somewhere else and you're holding this might be why you're not listening to me. Not that you're intentionally not hearing, you're not listening to me. You hear me, but it's just like, girl, I'm trying to make sure these lights stay on right now. And my pride as a man doesn't want to let you know that because I don't want you to have to go out and do anything extra because that's my job. And again, that's where that honesty and conversation comes in. Let it out and let it be known so it can be dealt with. But there's also what you heard,
Right.
I said, go pick that shit up. You heard your mama telling you wasn't shit. You just like
right.
Like so many other things. We don't think about how what we say activates something inside people because everybody's not going to share everything. And you may not even recognize that that's an activator for you. You might not recognize that kicks up something, a way that your tone can actually turn somebody off. So if we're already in conflict, when you come to me, there's pieces of you that I no longer attach to. Not that I'm not still there. I'm still there and I'm still present. But there's pieces, and it may be your leadership. It may be your authority. It may be your thought process. It may be your decision making because you've done something that I feel could have been done better. Even if it's not me doing it, I just felt like that could have been handled better. And instead of me coming to you and asking you, is there a way that we could have handled it, or you could have handled this better, or I could have handled this better? Tell me how I could have showed up better in that situation, or how you could have. I internalize that and I put that on you and I treat you accordingly. And again, I'm not saying this as a woman. I'm saying this as a human. This is not a gender thing. So when it comes to that, somebody else will say it and then it just sound better. It's not coming with tone. It's not coming with intention. It's not coming with agenda. That is a neutral person. And that is pretty much the word coming through in a different manner to where that channel was clear for me to receive it. And now I'm listening. Same thing for him. You know, that person said it with nothing attached to it. I can receive that. But you also got to sometimes be the person where you don't care how it gets done as long as it gets done. If you move more in that, you'll be less offended by what somebody does or doesn't do, because nobody has to do it the way that you want it done. If you wanted something done and it got done, stop tripping if it's not disrespecting you or out of character for it to get done by that person. If you want a woman that's going to cook and clean and she's busy, she's working, there's dinner when you come home and the house is clean. If she's paying for that and it's not cutting into the budget, mind your business. Why does she have to be the one to do it? If you like your bills paid and he puts some on automatic withdrawal into his account and does not sit down and pay those bills like you would do, it doesn't mean that he's wrong in doing that. Your bills got paid. Pipe down. Like, why do you, like, sometimes we want some suffrage and we want some type of tangible thing attached, like some type of sacrifice from our better half to prove something. And it doesn't have to be that way. Just get what you need done and stop being so fixated on the how if it's not unhealthy or damaging to the relationship. Not your feelings, but the actual relationship.
Right. Oof. Gross, right? Gross. Gross. All right, so let's see what this turns into right here.
It's not the person, like say if you're in a relationship, any of us, or you married or whatever, and you know your significant other says, you know, where you been? Automatically you like, it's not, you may not respond that way, but automatically you get that energy like, okay, she's questioning me. She whatever I say, she probably won't believe what the answer is. But if I say, where you been? Oh man, you know, I just, you know, because it's not always the question, it's where the question is coming from. When it comes to therapy for me, I have an aversion to going to someone who went to school and is getting paid to tell me what I should or should not be doing in whatever situation I'm in. I like to look for something. If I want to be a great mechanic, I'm going to watch a great mechanic. Right. So what I've learned to do, having the different varied examples of what a relationship is I come from a large family, so not to put any of my brothers and sisters' business out there, but you know, we had some stuff going on. Right. And but what I feel that what I like, that I find therapeutic, is to find someone who's had more life experience than I have, and who is doing well the thing that I would like to do. Right. And so if I go to Mr. Williams, who lives next door, or Miss Johnson, who lives downstairs from my brother, and I see that they have a great relationship. I see the love, and I see the camaraderie, and the cohesion, and the communication. I'll go say, hey, and just talk to them and say, I'm having problems with my girlfriend. If I'm having problems with a significant other that is my girlfriend or whatever, I'm going to go to a woman and say, hey, you know, what's that about? I'm not going to go to my boy's dad because he don't know. Right. He's not a woman. But I would go to my boy's mom, like my friends, you know, after my mother passed away, a couple of my friends' mothers embraced me as their own son. Sorry to hear that, and they would say, hey, you know, Mama, I got a question. Mama Faye or Mama Eunice. And I'd ask the question, they said, baby, look. And you know when that black mama put their hands on you, listen, baby. You know you're getting it from a place where it's coming from experience and coming from love, not an office and a paycheck. To me, that is just for me. So I would prefer to go to someone that I've known for a while who is doing a great job or doing well the thing that I want to do or that I may want to do someday. Because it's one thing that I've learned is that you will never forget good advice. Because one day something's going to happen to you, and that thing that someone said to you years ago
comes up. Yeah.
Dang. And so it's still in there. You don't forget it. It's just in the recesses of your mind. So for me, going to therapy is more of a personal thing that, and it's not. I have never been to therapy, but it's therapeutic for me to go to someone who is, you know, my elder. if I'm going to learn some life-changing stuff from someone, I would love to have that information come from someone who has more life experience than I do.
Wow.
Ma'am?
Okay. And this is amazing. I'm glad you picked this. There are a lot of people that believe that. I won't take relationship advice from someone that's not married. I won't talk to anybody that hasn't done what I've already done. Where that gets sticky is because it's usually something that a lot of people haven't done, right? And also it boils down to they're not telling you everything. You see what you see, what they allow you to see. You don't see the nuances and what really goes on in that. And again, you're playing it very safe because you're going to go to people who are not going to fully hold you accountable. You're going to go to people that you know are going to be a lot softer and who are going to hear your side. Because what he didn't say is I bring that person with me and they speak to us. You said I. So you're already an individualistic person and you're going to play it safe because you know that if you go to therapy, they're going to point out things in you and you're just not, and that's fine. You're not at a space right now where you're willing to be looked at and be emotionally naked with someone that has no vested interest in you. Yes, they went to school to learn that. What makes you think that person that live a life too? Most people that go into this field came because of the life that they lived. And they want to help people not actually and prevent people from going through the things that they went through. And there's modalities for that. It is not a perfect science. I am not saying that. We have had to come a very long way in the practice of psychology, but we have done leaps and bounds within it. And again, you find somebody, if that's the case, then find an older therapist that's been married for 30 years. Most of that information is available to you. And I'm not saying that he's wrong. That's his choice. But you may be limiting yourself in that experience to grow if you're not able to be looked at. And that's what it kind of feels like. I don't want nobody looking at me like that. You might tell me something I don't know. I can argue this with this person. And because they know me intimately, I know how to get what I want from them, which is what I want to hear. You're not going to get that with a therapist because you know, in that same training that you're talking about, they're going to usually, for the most part, be able to see that you're trying to steer, you're trying to frame, you're trying to agenda the situation. And to me, if I'm in a relationship, my therapy is going to be for me, but our relationship, we got to be there together because we're trying to figure out how to navigate this with each other. So if everything is about you, I'm going to go to Aunt Mamie, who's been married for 50 years, who grandpa got 5 different families, and she takes everything. So when I go to her, anything I say I do is going to be fine because Aunt Mamie, she take that from him. You know, you got to be a little bit risky when it comes to, if you really want to make evolution and change within yourself, go to somebody that don't know you and tell the truth. Be honest, because all that's going to come out is a better version of yourself, the more actualized version of yourself, the more authentic version of yourself. And it's uncomfortable, but I wonder what type of relationship he's in. He didn't say anything about the other person. He said, I, me. And people that, you know, are more experienced or already lived that. But that's not your experience either. The therapist is not coming from the perspective of marriage or relationship. They are coming from human. And that's why I say I don't like that so many of these things are gendered, because there are things that are just straight up human nature that are more important. And that human nature aspect, human behavior, human communication, and all those things mean a lot more than the nuances of the actual titles of marriage, because nobody's marriage is the same or looks alike. So I challenge him, like you said, and he won't touch it. I've never done it. I just feel it's his comfort zone. And he's not wrong for that. It's his choice. And it's anybody's choice that wants to do that. But you in the same way that you're saying you wouldn't do therapy with a therapist because you rather somebody you know, you're kind of doing that with therapy when you say I've never done it, but I have an opinion on it. You haven't experienced it to say that you don't like it. You just framed it in your head that way, but you only go to somebody that did something that you want done the way that you want it done. I understand that part, but you're giving an opinion on something you haven't experienced either.
I think I'm glad I stopped it when I did, so I could get your perspective, because I already knew it was going to be rich. I heard a couple of keywords in there. I was like, oh yeah, it's about to go down, right? I think a theme that shook the room and sucked the air out is he lost his mother, and it changed him. And it could have put him in a downward spiral in a whole nother way. He had 3 black women in his life that welcomed him in as a son. So in his mind, spirit space, he's communicating with his mother about his life challenges, right? So a support system in that manner, right? Everything you said was valid. Everything you said was true. Everything you said was relatable. In relation to what he said, there has to be some sort of pain point where in the loss, somebody suggested to him therapy, and he looked at it like, please, what are they going to tell me type of situation? So this is where all of the I statements based off of no evidence. Now, if he said, when I lost my mother and I went to see therapists, I didn't find any benefit. I thought of 3 black women psychiatrists that he could talk to right now. 3 black women. You understand what I'm saying? And then 3 black men that he could talk to. You see what I'm saying? That he would get immediate benefit from just in the loss of that alone. And if that loss is affecting how he relates in regards to another black woman that he's in a relationship with, he can start a process of reconciliation and healing and understanding what that loss meant. And then that process of grieving and coming out of that place. You see what I'm saying? So to be better within himself and in turn be a better relationship, with a black woman. Because prayerfully in my hardest of souls of beings, okay, that's where he at. You understand what I'm saying? So.
And I would recommend grief therapy and individual therapy before couples therapy, because at where he is right now, it's going to be very hard to connect to somebody. Couples therapy is not going to work. We have to be healed first before we enter in with someone else. No one's here to make us happy. No one's here to change us. We have to come together whole to create something new. If we come broken, we're going to be codependent, interdependent, or trauma bond, and eventually it's going to implode. It's going to erupt. And we're going to blame each other, and we're going to latch on to the negative parts and lose the opportunity to grow into something greater. But it's no one's responsibility to do anything for us. We have to come with that, and we got to be okay with that. Otherwise, we're going to bring things into the relationship that's going to it's going to be throwing rocks at us while we're trying to swim, and it's going to make it difficult. So, he has some healing to do. And I hope that he gets it in a more impactful way to where he can open up and trust more.
Definitely. Let's see how the room handles this right here.
So, man, I think it's probably, but I haven't done therapy. I'm interested in therapy, but I think it's a little bit of both. Definitely having those folks in your community that have been successful in something that you've done. But I've had a business coach before, and that was therapy. I'm not sure if any of you guys had business coach, acting coaches, or what have you. Like, that's therapy. And when someone is, I'm a big proponent of paying someone with a skill. And a talent and an expertise. Like, photographer, videographer, what have you, I like to make sure that the right people who have that superpower get paid, and I want to receive that, secret sauce that they have.
Right.
So I am very interested in potentially having just like some type of therapy and just getting things off my chest and just figuring out like, does that feel good? And I think a lot of folks who, especially in like corporate America, your insurance can cover therapy. Or when you're an entrepreneur, you're making good money. You can
afford.
You can be just like, yeah, this is part of my health insurance. You can get the health insurance that have those type of things. Yeah. And so I think us as people of color, it's something to think about. And like a question I had for you, I guess all three of you guys who have had therapy, what is a session like for people? Like, can you walk us through a session and what it feels like? Because I think it will help us understand.
It may change my mind.
Yeah, well, it'll help us as well.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. Like coming from Oakland, therapy was not a thing that I heard of. Therapy was not a thing that was accepted. You know, and in the black community, like it's if you do therapy, most of the time people won't even tell you. It's like something that they feel is like it's a burden or it's a negative attribute to you as a person.
I want them to get it all out. And isn't this why we're here, right? We seeking to remove the stigma. I wrote my thesis on this and how all of these alternate methods are being utilized by, practitioners, by therapists, by counselors, by support, by students, by teachers, by, after school programs, all kinds of things where they're utilizing, hip hop in regards to this means to, build a bridge between generations of people and a level of understanding that's there. So deep, this is something that's sought after, right? This is something that's sought after, but this is a couple years ago. So, but the stigma still exists in 2026. Everybody that I interviewed, everybody that I talked to, everybody who works with young people, everybody who's there, and they're looking at different barriers being broken down. Like Kendrick Lamar was talking about mental health. There are other aspects and people who are talking about, and they're talking about it out loud. So now these spheres of influence or change, things are there. So now, where did we go from here in the situation? So, for this black man, mental health stigmas, challenges, depression. Nah, you ain't depressed, you just lazy, blah, blah, blah. All of these things, right? All of these aspects in regards to, these band-aids that we have been putting on bullet wounds for centuries now. And passing down this practice of, if I ask for help, I look weak or I'm perceived as weak, blah, blah, blah. Epigenetically pushing those things out, mentally here and physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually with black women. You understand what I'm saying? The things that they had to hide, the things that they had to suffer through, all these kinds of things, you don't speak ill of those who are dearly departed. You understand what I'm saying? Like these kind of things that you have to internalize. So whatever kind of stress, strain, abuse, and hell that you suffered, the world will never know. You suffer in silence. But it's going to reach a tipping point where it comes out in some sort of way, some kind of way or another. You understand what I'm saying? So just interesting in that regard. So I'm a yield because this is your place, right? That's why we're here.
I'm not the expert on psychology.
Before he gets into the weeds, right? Before they get into the weeds. Yeah.
I'm a peer.
So
go ahead.
I was going to say just, your thoughts in regards to just the stigmas, from that perspective that he was talking about. He's from Oakland, right? He's like, I'm from Oakland and, this isn't happening. And now look at the tumultuous situation of rebellions that's confronted, right? So if you talk about groups, if you talk about the Black Guerrilla Family, if you talk about the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, if you talk about the civil unrest and the situation with the general public over there in Oakland, and then with the policing agents in regards to Oakland, right? So, and the governmental response to what they deem Black rebellion before you get into batches of the party. Like, so after the party is virtually annihilated, you have the after effects that come along with that. So this stigma of appearing strong, right? Whether it's physically strong, emotionally strong, but mentally there's a schism, there's a break, there's something that's happening. You know, I'm curious to your thoughts in regards to what he's saying in regards to that we kind of deem a cultural universe. You know what I'm saying? Anywhere you go within the black community, this is how it's looked. Like we had a meeting and said, okay, if you do this as a black person, if you're doing this as a black person, then we write you all kind of situation. But it comes out from one generation to the next. Right?
I can relate.
What did I just do?
To both the brothers. Right. Because I used to be the one in the black shirt. Like, I don't need that. I'm me.
Right.
I'm smart. I'm intelligent. Like, why would I need? Like, I'm speaking as a peer. I understand where he's coming from because I felt that way. And I also understand where he's saying, I'm from New York. You're crazy if you go to therapy. Right. Like, there's no in between. You are crazy if you go. But it comes from, we have not had the best relationship with medicine, period. Mental health has been a enslavement tool for us. They over-medicated us, undertreated us, overdiagnosed us, underdiagnosed us. We just don't have that relationship. And, I remember growing up and the little hyper kids were put on Ritalin. Ritalin ran through us like the crack epidemic. And it was having adverse reactions to children. It was just a horrible drug. And teachers were able to tell you, make a medical decision for your child and make your child be put on a medication. So again, the systems that are supposed to support us, we end up having to fight against, and they beat us down. So that trust is gone. And then no one wants the stigma of being crazy. No one wants to have to be on medication. No one wants to feel like they're broken. And we have to stop looking at mental health as being broken. Again, it's a diagnosis. It is a disease of the body. It's just the brain. The same way that cancer starts in cells, diabetes, like it's a disease. And if we look at it as a disease, a diagnosis of something that's wrong with the body, we separate the mind for some reason and we put it in this little island and, with lots of cushion. And you can work on everything else in my body and I'm not going to fight you. Just don't go to my mind. And you'll hear people say, you could take everything away from me. You could take my arms up, place, just leave me my mind. Because we haven't been able, we couldn't trust our identity with you. We couldn't trust our safety with you. And this is in a system, the medical world, that we've never been able to trust. But time has come to where we have a lot more power and care. It was not for our advantage. Insurance just ain't paying for it. You can't even go. There was a time when you would go in and you would say, I thought about killing myself. You are doing a 72 to 28 day hold. No, I don't care what you say. If you say you thought about harming yourself or someone else, it didn't matter if you had a plan. It didn't matter if you executed, if you attempted, you're gone. And that's no longer the case. You're going to be hard pressed to do that now. You have to actually do it almost in order to be kept. And even if you're kept, it's not the full extent. Insurance is not going to pay for it. When I had my children, I was able to be in the hospital for 7 days. It's 24 hours now. So again, it wasn't to our advantage, but we gained an advantage from the politics of insurance to where now we have full control over our mental health. There was a time when if a doctor diagnosed you, you had to take your medication or you get taken by the state. It's no longer a thing. Now it's your choice. They give you the option and you choose if you want to take that medication or not. Even therapy and psychology is a choice. It's an option. It's patient-centered now. Again, not because they found something wrong with the old way and wanted to do better for us. No. Insurance said we ain't paying for that. So the patient, and there's a lot of nuances that I don't agree with that, but I won't go there. But the thing is, we have to, if you want to be better, sometimes you have to go into a situation that's not perfect and get what you can from it. And there's a lot of free mental health services pretty much everywhere. If you don't, and most jobs have EAP. If you don't have insurance through your job, it's free. You get about 3 to 6 sessions. It's a start for you to get a feel for it without actually having to commit to it. There's platforms that you can go to get therapy. Again, having that balance maybe between a wise counsel and therapy might be great, but experience it. And just because somebody else had a negative experience, you don't know how that person went into that. You don't know what mindset they went in. They might have went in with a defeatist mindset. This person's going to tell me what to do. And it's not as white as it used to be. There are so many networks and channels to Black therapists that have lived experience, that have gone through, that can come from your perspective with a level of relativity that will make you a lot more comfortable, because they're not speaking from a foreign place. It's like when you went to school, you have this teacher that has no experience with your community, opposed to the teacher that grew up and your mama babysat him. So he knows what you're feeling. He knows, that person knows what to look for. They know why you may be that way, and they can help you unpack that. So, it's our response. Our mental health was our responsibility, bottom line. And I never thought that I would be in therapy. I never thought I would find a value in it. I just didn't see the need for it until I did. And as someone that works with people every day in the psych world, in a peer and in a support position, I need therapy because in other aspects, I give therapy. I can almost guarantee you, your therapist, your psychiatrist has a therapist or a psychiatrist, because we take on everyone's everything, and we need help with that, navigating that, because you have to understand, being in this position, dealing with the level of trauma, experience, and crisis that I deal with, there's a lot of activators in that. And I have to stay stoic in that moment and be present and not even tend to those activators until I've walked away from this person, because this is where my attention is, because this is my job, because this is what I chose to do. It doesn't mean that it went away. I just said I had to put it to the side. So you need help navigating that. And you will find things that you totally forgot about because of someone else's experience or dealing with certain systems. Things will come back to you, and you need help with that. Taking on and if you are that person in the family that everybody goes to, you need a therapist to help you with that. Because my therapist and my psychiatrist both have a therapist and a psychiatrist. So where you're from, it doesn't matter where you're from. In this community as a whole, there's a stigma for mental health. And we just want to say that's just how Aunt Lady is. That's just how Uncle Rob is. And we haven't even talked about the correlation between how substance use disorder actually attributes to mental health. How, when you're going through certain medical diagnosis, how the side effects will be mental health, how just having the experience of that diagnosis will cause mental health, how the medication that you take, a side effect may be mental health. And on a broader spectrum, just our lived experiences, our ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, will cause us trauma to where our mental health is not as balanced as it should be. But we don't tend to it because no one encourages us to do that. Other cultures do it. We don't. And I understand our apprehension, but we got to start looking at it, because a lot of the disparities that we go through are because our mental health is not in order, or we would be a lot healthier in our interactions.
So I'm talking about. Okay. Yeah. So hopefully I'm somewhere adjacent to that spot that they was talking about, because it went back on me. I clicked something I wasn't supposed to click, and it was like, all right, let me see where we at.
And in the Black community, like, it's if you do therapy,
look at God. Won't she do it? You understand? Let me give it up to God real quick. Won't she do it? Yes.
Most of the time, people won't even tell you. It's like something that they feel it's like it's a
taboo,
burden, or
right?
it's a negative attribute to you as a
What's wrong with
person.
him?
But to be honest, to go to therapy and to have someone else give you an opinion, or just have someone else listen to you and provide their life experiences, or try to lead you down different paths, or just provide you with tools to alleviate some of the bottled up stress that you have within you, that takes a strong person to do that, because you're becoming vulnerable to a complete stranger, whether it's paid or whether it's not. Being able to be vulnerable in a room one-on-one with someone for an hour and a half, right? And you ask how, like, the steps. You literally walk into an office, and my therapist would literally sit down in front of me like this, and he would just stare at me. And if I didn't say anything, 1 or 2 minutes, because I'm still thinking, like, I'm hesitant, like, damn, I don't know what I want to tell him. I don't know about this. He'll look at me and be like, how's the relationship going? And then it's like, oh man, so like,
I've been waiting for you to ask.
You know, because sometimes a problem that we have with communications, we don't know how to start it.
Voluntarily start that conversation.
Yeah.
And so to have an individual with an objective perspective guide you that way, then it just like, it releases. It's like taking a deep, like, sigh.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, then you just get into a conversation. Then your therapist can pick out points where he sees like something is a little bit more heightened than something else, and then they could guide you down this path of things you need to just get off your chest. Yeah. You know, and with therapy, I mean, it allowed. You know, I was like when you bottle up your stress, it starts with your shoulders, then it works down your back, then it goes down your lower back. When I started doing therapy, I started alleviating a lot of those things. I thought, I'd go to the chiropractor, start running more. It wasn't helping. Then when I started going to therapy and just like getting these bottled up emotions, these unanswered questions out, or just being able to communicate with someone aside from my friends, a lot of those things start to disappear, you know?
Yeah. And I think as men, we have a natural tendency to be guarded. We're not the type.
Oh snap! I got to pause, y'all. Work it up.
I just want to share an experience I had with therapy. My first therapist was my primary care physician. She is she's a doctor, a medical doctor, but she's also a homeopath doctor. So instantly I fell in love with her. And I would name drop all the people, but I don't have their permission, so I won't. She sent me to therapy, post chemo and radiation treatment. And I love my therapist. I mean, my psychiatrist, my initial psychiatrist. I ended up, he moved up in a different position. So he's no longer my psychiatrist anymore, but I've been through 3 therapists. And my first one, energy wasn't there. And this is what I want you to understand. You can change that. This is a chemistry thing. Like we got to mesh, because I'm about to tell you, I'm about to bare my soul to you. And I need to make sure that we have some type of connection. My second therapist was absolutely amazing. It's not that she was a bad therapist. She really is a good therapist, just not for my personality type. I am very problem identified, problem solve, move on. Next. I don't need to sit and stew in anything. I don't need to be comforted. I don't need to be worked up to be in a place to do anything. This is what I feel. This is what I have going on. I need to deal with that. And it made me almost feel like we're like homegirls. We're not friends. And she would be good for a personality that needed more nurturing, that needed more attention. And that's not what I needed. So now my therapist that I have now, when I express that, listen, I don't want you to, she's amazing. She's not for my personality. I need someone a little more stern, a little more my personality, where it's like, okay, tell me what I can do for you today. What are we talking about today? Or that would just say, all right, last time we talked, you said this, let's dig into that, because I'm ready to go there. I don't need a lot of preparation for these types of things, because I'm here for that. So, and the personality matters. Like, this is really, you got to build that rapport with that person. Don't feel stuck with the first person if it doesn't feel right. I work in this field. I've seen some therapists. I'm like, you shouldn't be practicing. So I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but if it does for you, change that person. And don't be doing too much though. Like, don't get to the point to where, because you don't really want it, you're gonna use this. Oh, I haven't found one that match yet. It shouldn't take that many. Then you might want to look at yourself and be like, all right, am I doing too much? But just know that you have the freedom to choose the person that's in alignment with you. And when you go for your intake, let that be known. Listen, I don't want this type of therapist. I don't want that type. This is what I need. Because the person that does the intake works there, they're going to know who to tell you to go to. When I get a child that comes across my caseload, I instantly know, send her to that one. And this one, okay, no, send that one to that one. Because you kind of know personality-wise what that person needs. So just be open about what you feel will be good for you. And even if you're wrong, if you get in there and find out, no, I actually do need that, or you're free to change that, because you may change. And as your therapy sets in, that may change. It's okay. You are fully empowered in this process to make decisions for yourself that are going to be for your overall benefit and good.
Bars, ladies and gentlemen. Bars, ladies and gentlemen. And I got to pause, okay? I'm doing great.
That just come out and tell you things that we're struggling with. And so we'll carry something for years. But I agree with Tim, and the majority of the I would say therapy sessions I've had have been with people I already have a relationship with. So whether it be my pastor, one of my mentors, they already have an understanding of me, my situation. I already see something in their situation that I aspired to have, whether it be a relationship or business success, etc. And so it's just a relief to be able to get things off your chest, because if you don't express it, it can't be healed. And so you walk around carrying, a lot of baggage. A lot of baggage, exactly. And that can,
it's a heavy weight, man.
Yeah, and that falls into other areas of your life. It impacts relationships. It impacts other business. It impacts everything.
All right.
This was a good clip. You did really good with this one. Because I wanted to hear more from the brother in the white shirt, I'll be sure. I wanted to hear more from him, but I think he might just be there for observation to kind of see where he wants to go, get a little feedback first before he actually makes a decision.
Yeah. I wanted to, sort of demonstrate what it looks like, right? So there's a healthy level of skepticism that's there, demonstrated, blah, blah, blah. Not all Black men are the same, but they identify and held space for one another through these parts. You see what I'm saying? So they could be able to pinpoint, all right, relatable, not relatable, this. And this was going on during the pandemic, right? So if you think about it in that perspective, how rich that was to be able to deal with people who had lost their outlet, right? Something that's therapeutic for them, because all of them, are actors. So they're all sitting around relating in an experience space where their modus operandi is taken from them. So that might be a situation where they're questioning themselves, they're questioning each other, blah, blah, blah. And in that space, they found camaraderie in one another, but also still kept a space where they could keep it real with one another. You see what I'm saying? So if somebody was totally tripping, they'd be like, hey, fam, come on. You understand what I'm saying? So that kind of space of accountability, in addition to whatever their go-tos were for these things in their life. To hear Black men, like the brother was talking about, a child and another child, right? You understand what I'm saying? A child and another child, and then this renewed light that comes on in regards to I have to rise to the occasion and understand that we're rising together. I'm looking towards the future, blah, blah, blah. All of those things in an uncertain space where you can't say, well, I'm gonna get this many gigs this year to be able to take care of X, Y, and Z. And then all of them, all in this round table sort of discussion in regards to Black self love and then Black love, period, right? So now how this extends out to Black children, to how this extends out to, their relationships and all of those things. I just thought, it would be good to present that in that kind of way. So between that and then the other one was like something actionable, somebody actionable, actionable. Like they went through the weeds and there's light and life at the end of the tunnel. If you're willing to put in the work and the situations and what you always say, the best apologies change behavior. So if you begin to elevate and say, okay, now we're looking back at that hindsight being 2020, and we can move together gracefully in this dance of life together. So yeah.
Well, I will say, I will pretty much announce that I've been, I'm a life coach as well. I deal with military. I'm certified to work with military grief for men who've lost children through miscarriage
Mm.
or even abortion. I'm
Oof.
certified to work with families, to work with relationships. Um, I won't say so much marriage as a title or institution, but the relationship between two people.
Mhm.
No matter what
Mhm.
you want to title it. I I've been requested to come back into coaching. So
Yeah.
I'm looking to hopefully May or June have everything back up and running to kind of give a softer spot because again, coaching is not therapy. It's
Right.
different. It's more like an accountability partner. It's more like it's similar but not. We set goals and I help you along that process, but it's more of you doing more of the work more so than me doing a lot of it, but it's me help you guiding and directing. If you have a
Mhm.
basketball coach, they're not playing the game for you, but they're helping you make your game better. So,
Right.
my job would be to help you make that blueprint a lot more navigatable so that you're not running, teaching you how to read the map, how to understand it, and everything that goes along that way. So, it's a softer layer before therapy. A lot of
Mhm.
times situations will come where I'll tell you this is beyond, this is not my ministry, this is way beyond me, you need to actually seek therapy because this is
Right.
not something that I feel like I am qualified to help you move through. You may need more services in that and there may be more things that modalities that I'm not qualified to actually give you, but I do think that we
Right.
need smaller spaces, lower level spaces to just kind of unpack things and get through things that doesn't feel so constrained, that takes away kind of some of the fear of the consequences of actually seeking therapy. And again, I can't diagnose, I cannot prescribe medication. Even when I finish school, I don't really want to deal with medication too much for many reasons, but I want to be more on a research, more of the therapeutic side of it, more of the case study side of it to make bigger impacts. But it's kind of burning me to do it, to come back into it, to dust off my certifications and bring those back into practice. Because for those that never see themselves in therapy, you can still have an outlet. You can still have a place to go and unpack, still have someone to bounce things off of. So May or June, I'll probably just say May just to give myself a little more time. I will be offering that again, so that you can give it a try. It's no obligation. You're not contracted. Again, it's free will and it's not therapy. It's situational. You can come to me for peer, that can be substance use or mental illness, or you can
Mhm.
come to me for support, which is something that I give anyway, but you'll be able to make that individualized and cater towards your actual needs. So, I just want to open that door. I want us to bridge that gap, you know, between health, especially for our mental health. The same way we'll go to the doctor. We need to start taking care of our mental health We have a lot going on in our society. We have a lot going on in our communities, and a lot of it really is because of our mental state. And when our minds are not working properly, it's imbalances, it's chemicals that are not being produced or are being overproduced. There's circuits that are not connecting. And it's the same thing that happens with the disease in other organs. Things are, the homeostasis is just not in place. And we need to put that back together. And again, I don't want you to think that therapy always leads to medication. It doesn't. Sometimes the medication is there to soften the blow to help you get through and deal with what you're going to have to unpack to actually release that diagnosis. I also don't want you to think that it's forever. It's not. There are many diagnoses that you can come off of medication or never get on medication and still be healed from that. So it's just a matter of, it's very individual, very situational, what you're dealing with and how that's going to be packaged in the best interest for you. And remember that you have the power and that say so, but we have to treat our minds like with the same care and the same respect and nurture and value as we do the rest of our bodies, and not think that because we can't feel it and we can't see it, that it's not affected. And because this is the one thing that affects our entire world. It affects our environment and our community, and it affects how we interact with each other. And with social media being so stimulating, and with us being stimulated in 15 and 30-second increments, so many things are being put in that we don't know how to slow down a little bit and even handle things anymore. And the things that we see on television and things that we're exposed to, hearing gunshots every night, being beat as a child, all these things come up with us and they grow up with us. And in order for us to know how to handle these things and balance them out, we need external tools in order to do that, because nothing in our environment is conducive to make us better. So we have to go outside of that and go reach for things externally to internalize those things, to actually fix what's going on so that we can be healthier versions of ourselves.
Now, thank you for episode number 8. Okay, number 8, we're moving out here, right? We're moving, all right. Can you talk to us about episode 9?
Episode 9, I'd like to look at what we've seen today in an earlier stage. Before we got there, how we get there. Like what are we going through in our community that we need to take a look at, that is commonly heard, commonly seen, commonly experienced, that we need to work on. And I like how you stage this in that forum. So I'd like to see something like that to unpack, so that we can find things that are very common and familiar. Because not for nothing, it's not happening as much. I'm not worried about it as much. But the things that are problematic, that are the majority, let's look at that. Let's talk about that. Let's break that down. And also from the audience, if there's something that you want to see, something particular you want to be spoken upon, feel free to reach out and let me know that, and we can talk about it, because that's what we're here for. We've been doing a lot of communicating just with me and you, Born, but I would like to start bringing other people's, into the conversation. We need more conversation, because that one person has contact with many others. And the more information that we get out and the more inclusion that we bring in, the more we want this to spread like wildfire. We want this to be, this topic of conversation to become something that is more common and easier amongst us, so that we can actually find that sweet spot of unity.
In other words, she tired of me, y'all. She wanted to talk to somebody else. Okay, I just want y'all to know that. All right. So she is tired of me. So we got to get something together. Get some other folk in here, because she is sick of me. All right. She is sick of me. All right. All good.
No, that's not it. And the thing is, you don't have to come on. Some people don't want to do that. That's fine. You can send me the question. You can send me the topic, or you can put it in the chat, or whatever you're looking for.
Right.
That's fine.
Right.
But, but if you want to come on as well, as long as you understand, let me give the caveat. if you come on this show, it's not, I don't want to devalue your opinion, your thought, or your conclusion. But we're looking to answer questions here. We're looking for a solution. So when you come, you have to come solution based. So this is not going to be a bitch fest. It's not going to be a place to complain, degrade, any of that. We're not looking to point fingers. Oh, what, men and women, and this person did this to me. No, you got to be willing to come and say, with the intention of how can I show up better? How can I change my environment? How can I? And then translate that into your interaction. This is not a red pill, blue pill. This is not an agenda-based situation where it's coming from a negative place. The agenda is to bridge and build community within our community, to mend the wounds that we have. So be mindful when you come with that. And when you get your answer, if you don't like it, that's okay. But depending on where it's coming from, that just might be what it is. And we're not going to stay on something. We're not going to stick on something. We're looking for solutions. And when you have that solution, we got a lot of problems. We got to move with that. So I'm not saying that I'm not interested in how you feel. But with that feeling, there has to come a point of solution, is where I'm saying. Come from that space. I don't want a bunch of negative rhetoric. That's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to unpack that. And if you want to talk about why you are that way or why you think that way, that's fine. But I'm not here to argue with you about it. I'm not here for debate. I'm here for solution. So let's talk about it and let's get to a point of solution. But this is not a space where I want that beefing between us, and I don't want that war. This is a place where we're here to strategize and make it better.
I'll be always thinking my internet be glitching, so I just be quiet through the silence sometimes till I get back. It's like, all right, yep, I'm back. Tune in next week. We'll be here at our regularly scheduled time. These last couple of weeks, Missionary has been graceful with my schedule. Okay, so we will be back on Friday night where we belong. And we here. All right. So I know you got a final thought in there somewhere.
Again, I'm going to take it back to take care of yourselves. Take care of yourselves as if you take the same way you take care of others, with the value that you see in others, with the deserving that you see in others. Feed into yourself, love on yourself, learn yourself.
And be here next week with yourself. And bring 10 people with you. All right. Peace.
The painter, brother's letter. I should cut my ear off like Van Gogh. Stop performing at the Klan shows. Watch myself from the audience. Play piano with lit candles. I'll still perform, but the thrill is gone. I don't feel as strong, maybe because the wheel is torn. I clutch in the ball cause I'm sick to my gut. Then I brushed off the dust, stood up like I was touched by healing palms. I picked up my shield and 3 rocks as I'm hearing psalms. Know ye not that ye are gods? And I've been blocked by bouncers, overlooked by the announcers. I'm in the stand with the fans, which told me many of my album was like a counselor. They said songs like Then From Now, got them from then to now. Even deja vu, they said the old man was you, in a reoccurring nightmare where you kept coming back around. I took a picture with him, then he showed me a picture of his daughter in a cap and gown. He said he put her through college because your words stood up for knowledge. Said, to be honest, you like a prophet. I said, stop it. He said, what made you right before quarantine take us to Nebula in a rocket? I said, it was just my journey to the planet of gods, our divine intervention. Just a mantra I said for the monsters in my head. Kept reliving, but we true and living. Like 3 Supermen then, he said, who you kidding? That was a beautiful listening. Clan came on and music was hitting. They did fourth chamber while I talked to strangers about his divorce and child support papers. Gotta restrain in court for his anger. On the cross cause of haters. As goes finish up with the black suede while he dawn. They look around, I'm not alarmed. They search backstage and I'm gone. Much finish the set, play the next song. Play the next. Nobody would remember. He hardly was a member. But the gods was his avengers. With the bars, always an inventor. From kindergarten to jobs at the center. From the mini-mart, parking cars for the winter. Kept a penny jar. What's the odds I get injured? Dreams of a football star was hindered. My lovers died, my brother's demise. My first son arrived in September. Virgo. No more pop locking like a turbo. Stopping in Stockton in my circles. Metanetza, love was eternal. Ancestors, embrace her. Sword in my dreams like Jacob. Wrestle with the devils before I wake up. Or was that an angel in flames who renamed you? Kill a priest to join the Wu-Tang school. Say to them, oh son of man, now children go in the land. Now I'm on send them 5 deadly venoms.
Freak out, yo!
Yeah, ma. Ma, say what up.
Huh?
Say what up.
Say what?
Say what's up. Ma, you look like grandma.
Oh, you looking at me now?